Hey guys, Nightbane here. As most of you know now, I am the current developer for the server. We're here on the dev server showing around some of the factions updates that are currently going on. So I'm just going to start from the very top and talk about the skills. So any of the faction players know that when the skills first came out, they were broken. They were extremely broken, and there were just so many things that were annoying about the skills. One of the biggest ones being the spiked sword, where you'd right click and you would legitimately one hit kill the other person. Well, I didn't want to remove spiked sword altogether, but I decided it would be better to have it scale with armor. So now if you're wearing diamond armor, it'll do less damage. If you're wearing no armor, it'll do a lot more damage. So if you are wearing no armor, it'll still do like 6 hearts, but if you have the diamond armor, it might do a heart and a half. Won't be that big of a deal. As well as another really annoying part of the skills was all of the bow skills. You could shoot yourself in the back, and then the bow skill would activate. So it would either explode arrows or auto fire, however you wanted to do it. And by doing that, you could hit people at spawn. I was able to fix that as well. You can no longer hit people at spawn with the bow skills. And another really annoying skill was Ender Souls, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name of it. It had the ability to make you keep your loot 40% of the time when you died, so you wouldn't drop anything 40% of the time. That got nerfed to an actual reasonable amount, because half the time it wasn't reasonable. So a couple of the exploits, as many of you guys that played factions last season knew, there were a lot of exploits that basically made the game break within a month or so. People found out the exploits in a month. I spent tireless hours with a bunch of players sitting down, figuring out all the exploits, and I'm pretty happy to say that I think we found all of them. Whether it be duping, whether it be any kind of other glitch that you can think of, we were able to fix it. So now about the little annoying things here and there that people would get hit by, were the dueling yourself glitch. Any of you guys that would PvP at spawn or at Bob or anything knew that you could duel yourself and it would teleport you out. So now that's fixed, you can no longer duel yourself. It'll give you a message that you cannot duel yourself. Another one was the spam trade glitch. Say you accidentally right clicked on somebody, they could now trade you forever and always. That was extremely annoying for me, especially. Like, I would teleport to someone, accidentally trade them, and I wouldn't be able to teleport away because they just spam trade me, so that is now fixed. So, some spawner changes. As many of you guys know, the endgame in factions is too fast, or it was too fast. And a big issue on factions was that people decided that there's no point in claiming the base. The world was huge, why would you claim your base? If you could just unclaim it, the people would never find it. So to combat that, firstly, the spawner prices have been changed, raised and lowered accordingly. The spawner rates have been raised and lowered accordingly to match that whole endgame idea where we shouldn't be at endgame a month in. It should take about 2 to 3 months to get to endgame. And the spawning speed. So I've decided that if you are going to be using spawners in unclaimed areas, so the wilderness, your spawner will be 2 times slower. If you use the spawner in a normal claimed area, then your spawner speed will be the same as it was before. So this should encourage people to claim their spawners, claim their bases, so that they get the full efficiency of their spawner, as well as the world being shrinked, causing more raids, more action, more fighting. So now onto the bosses. I don't know how many times I've logged on and just heard, oh, Nightbane, when is Queen gonna be fixed? When is Jess gonna be fixed? Can we add a new boss? All of that type of stuff. I decided to sit down and just update the boss system in general. So the Queen is obviously fixed now. Jess is fixed. Both of them should be working flawlessly now. Now I decided to add a new dungeon. So the new dungeon is a lot more sophisticated than, for instance, the Queen, which was the old raid dungeon-y thingy that we had. The new dungeon has 1 final boss and 3 miniature bosses. It will be displayed more in this video later. I'll show you what it's actually about. But basically, you don't have access to the main boss until all 3 are dead. The main boss will despawn after a timer, so you're gonna have to go back and kill the mini bosses for him to respawn again. You can't access the room while the main boss is spawned. So when the main boss is spawned, the gates will close, and only people that were here for the mini bosses will be able to access him. Alright, so as you can see, the doors are open while the bosses are alive, so we're going into Skyla right now. After we kill her, the door will close. The same for the other bosses, so after we kill the second boss, that door will close, so that boss is no longer accessible. Then we kill the third boss, that door will also close, so that boss is no longer accessible. Upon killing all 3 bosses, the 2 pillars, as you saw, will spawn, which let you teleport to the final boss. The back door will close, so people will no longer be able to walk in to fight the dungeon. And because of that, if you die while at the final boss, that's it. After you kill the final boss, you can warp out and wait for the 20 minutes for the dungeon to restart. Alright guys, so just to clarify, factions will be resetting on the 5th. Now what does that mean for you guys? That means that everything except for the slash base upgrades will be reset. So that includes MCMMO, it will be reset, that includes the world, that includes your ender chest and all the items you had. The base upgrades will stay, the actual items in the base are gone, so the dispensers will be cleared out. Once again, that is on December 5th, 2015 that factions will be resetting. Also, XRFMX13 will be returning to Latty for a new season of faction.